Welcome to The Great Debate, the podcast where history's most legendary leaders meet across time. In today's episode, we bring together two icons of conquest and empire figures whose names still echo across the ages. On one side, we have Alexander the Great, the host of this extraordinary show. The Macedonian king, whose empire stretched from Greece to India, he is celebrated not only for his unmatched ambition, but also for his ability to inspire and lead. On the other side, stepping onto the stage as today's guest, is none other than Genghis Khan. The Mongol ruler who forged the largest contiguous empire in history, Genghis was a master of strategy, a unifier of peoples, and a force of nature whose legacy continues to shape the world. Separated by centuries, but united by their unparalleled drive for greatness, Alexander and Genghis are here to discuss, debate, and delve into the art of leadership, conquest, and legacy. Now, let's step into this one-of-a-kind conversation and witness what happens when two of history's most formidable minds come together.
Thank you for that stirring introduction, Genghis Khan. It is both a privilege and a rare opportunity to converse with a leader whose achievements have shaped the course of history on such a monumental scale. Though we come from different lands and eras, we share the experience of uniting peoples, leading vast armies, and striving to create something enduring from our conquests. To begin, I'd like to ask, what was it that first ignited your vision to unify the Mongol tribes? Was it a response to the challenges of your youth? Or did you always see yourself as destined to transform the steppes into the heart of a mighty empire?
Alexander, your question reaches the very heart of my journey. Let me tell you this. When I was young, I didn't dream of empires or glory. I didn't even think about destiny. I thought about survival, pure and simple. My youth was a test of endurance. When my father was poisoned, his allies abandoned us. My family and I were left to scrape out a life on the steppes, facing hunger, betrayal, and the constant threat of death. I was just a boy, yet I learned then that the world shows no mercy to the weak. But it was during those years of struggle that the first seeds of my vision were planted. The steppes were vast, Alexander, but divided, chaotic. Tribe against tribe, brother against brother, fighting over scraps while greater powers circled like vultures. I saw the endless cycles of vengeance, the lives wasted in petty feuds, and I began to think, why must it always be this way? Why could we not stand together as one people, strong enough to shape our own destiny rather than be shaped by it? At first, my vision was simple: to survive, to protect my family, to take back what was ours. But with every trial I overcame, with every alliance I forged or enemy I defeated, the vision grew. I began to see that unity wasn't just a dream, it was a weapon stronger than any sword or bow. And I saw that it was possible to wield that weapon if one had the strength, the courage, and the will to do what must be done. My early struggles gave me the resolve to fight, but it was the realization that unity could transform our people that ignited my vision. I understood that trust and loyalty were more powerful than any army. By rewarding those who stood with me and crushing those who betrayed me, I began to turn that vision into reality. The Mongols didn't just follow me out of fear, they followed because they believed in the world I was building. So no, Alexander, I did not see myself as destined for greatness from the start. But as the challenges of life shaped me, I chose to take the path toward greatness. It wasn't fate that called me. It was a decision to rise above the chaos and to forge a legacy that would transform not just the steppes but the world itself.
Your journey from survival to shaping the destiny of the steppes is extraordinary, Genghis. Turning unity into a weapon and forging loyalty among a fragmented people is no small feat. I wonder, as you transformed your vision into reality, what principles guided you in leading such a diverse and disciplined force? How did you ensure that trust and loyalty endured amidst the trials of conquest?
Alexander, leading a diverse and disciplined force, especially one drawn from so many different tribes and cultures, was one of the greatest challenges I faced. But it was also one of my greatest triumphs. To turn fragmented loyalties into a unified strength, I relied on principles that became the foundation of my leadership and the empire I built. The first principle was merit. On the steppes, Survival taught me that a man's worth is not measured by his birth but by his actions. When I forged alliances and built my army, I made it clear that loyalty, skill, and courage were the only paths to honor and advancement. Whether a man was born a lowly herder or the son of a chieftain, his place in my ranks was earned, not given. This fostered a sense of fairness and trust. Each man knew that his fate rested in his own hands, not in the whims of bloodlines or favoritism. Second, I valued discipline and accountability. In a world as unforgiving as the steppes, chaos and disobedience could destroy an army faster than any enemy. I enforced my laws with an iron will. Justice was swift, and it applied to all equally, even to my closest allies. When a leader's actions are just and consistent, trust grows naturally, even in the harshest of conditions. Another principle I held was shared hardship. I did not rule from a throne far removed from my people. I rode with my soldiers, ate what they ate, endured the same cold, and faced the same dangers. They saw that I was one of them, and this bond between leader and follower became a source of strength that no enemy could break. Finally, I built a shared identity, a vision of something greater than ourselves. I gave my people a purpose beyond the battlefield, the creation of a unified Mongol nation. I taught them that their loyalty was not just to me, but to each other, to the vision of a world where we would no longer fight each other for scraps, but stand as one, shaping the destiny of all we touched. Trust and loyalty endured because I did not demand them blindly, I earned them. My soldiers and allies knew that I rewarded loyalty with unwavering support and betrayal with merciless justice. They saw that my word was my bond, that I valued their lives, and that our victories were shared. Alexander, leading such a force required balance, fairness and firmness, vision and adaptability, justice and mercy. These principles were my compass, and when the trials of conquest tested us, they were the threads that held us together. It was not the sword alone that forged my empire, but the loyalty and trust of those who believed in the vision we created together.
Genghis, your journey is remarkable, and your principles resonate deeply with me. Like you, I have faced the challenge of uniting diverse peoples under a common vision, earning loyalty through merit and trust. I, too, rode alongside my men, shared in their hardships, and sought to inspire them with a purpose beyond conquest. But as I reflect on the vastness of what we've both achieved, I wonder, did you ever imagine in your youth that your legacy would stretch across so many nations and cultures? When I look back on my own journey, there are moments I marvel at how far the vision has carried us. Was it the same for you? Or did you always sense the scope of what you were destined to create?
What a question. When I look back, it's clear that the path of leadership often reveals itself step by step. In my youth, my world was narrow-focused on survival, protecting my family and rising above the betrayals and chaos that surrounded me. I didn't dream of empires or the vastness of what we would eventually create. Back then, the vision was simple: to unite my people and end the endless cycle of tribal feuds that kept us weak. But leadership has a way of expanding one's perspective. Each battle won, each alliance forged, and each challenge overcome widened the horizon. As I began to see what unity could accomplish on the steppes, I realized that this power could extend beyond the tribes, beyond even the lands I had once thought were the edge of the world. There were moments when I stood back and marveled at the scale of what we had built. To see the banners carried across deserts, mountains, and cities so different from anything I had known, it was humbling. Not because I saw myself as the sole architect of this legacy, but because I understood that it had grown far beyond any one person. The strength of the people, their loyalty, their shared purpose was what made it possible. Leadership isn't about envisioning every step of the journey from the start. It's about taking that first step with conviction, adapting to the challenges, and inspiring others to carry the vision forward. I didn't set out with dreams of spanning nations and cultures, but as the vision grew, as the path unfolded before us, the potential for something far greater became undeniable. Perhaps the most extraordinary part of leadership is this: seeing the seeds of struggle grow into a legacy that outlives you. That is the true marvel, not the conquests or the glory, but the transformation of a simple vision into a force that reshapes the world.
Your reflection on leadership and its unfolding path speaks to my own experiences. Beginning with a singular focus and seeing it evolve into something far greater is a journey we both share. Moving from unity to conquest requires more than vision. It demands strategy. How did you approach the immense challenges of planning and executing campaigns across such vast and diverse territories? What guiding principles shaped your decisions in the art of war?
Planning and executing campaigns across vast and diverse territories was no small task. But the art of war is a craft I came to know intimately. My approach was always rooted in preparation, adaptability, and understanding, not just of the battlefield, but of the people and lands I sought to conquer. The first principle I held was knowledge. Before launching any campaign, I sought to learn everything I could about the enemy, their strengths, weaknesses, terrain, culture, and even their politics. Information was my greatest weapon, and I ensured that my armies were always one step ahead. Scouts and spies were as valuable to me as the finest warriors, for knowing the land and its people was often the difference between victory and defeat. The second principle was mobility. The steppes taught us the value of speed and maneuverability. My armies were not weighed down by unnecessary baggage or rigid structures. They could move swiftly across vast distances, striking where the enemy least expected. This mobility allowed us to maintain the initiative, choosing the time and place of battle to our advantage. Another guiding principle was discipline. Unity alone is not enough. An army must be disciplined, trained, and cohesive. Every soldier in my ranks, regardless of their background, understood their role and followed orders without hesitation. This discipline extended to how we treated conquered peoples. I made it clear that loyalty would be rewarded, but resistance would be met with unrelenting force. This clarity created both fear and respect, ensuring that many cities surrendered without a fight. Adaptability was key as well. No two campaigns were ever the same. Whether I was facing the walled cities of China, the vast deserts of Central Asia, or the unfamiliar lands of the West, I adapted my strategies to suit the environment and the enemy. I was not afraid to innovate, whether by employing siege engineers using psychological warfare or turning the very elements of nature to our advantage. Lastly, I always kept my ultimate goal in mind. Conquest was not an end in itself. It was a means to create order and stability in lands plagued by chaos. Every decision I made in war was guided by this vision to turn the chaos of battle into the foundation of a new world. My soldiers knew this, and it gave them a purpose beyond the spoils of war. The art of war is as much about the mind as it is about the sword. It is about seeing beyond the immediate clash of armies and understanding how each battle fits into the greater vision. For me, every campaign was a step toward uniting the world under a single banner, a banner that represented not just strength, but the promise of something greater.
Your mastery of preparation, mobility, and adaptability is truly remarkable. I find myself reflecting on my own campaigns, particularly how I trained my men to march swiftly across vast distances and strike decisively, often catching larger and better prepared armies off guard. Like you, I valued the knowledge gained from scouts and spies, as it often determined the success of my strategies. However, I wonder your campaigns were legendary for their speed and precision, achieving what many would deem impossible. How did you manage to organize and mobilize your forces so effectively, ensuring discipline and unity across such vast and diverse territories?
Speed and precision were indeed the lifeblood of my campaigns, and they were no accident. Organizing and mobilizing forces across vast territories required more than just strategy. It demanded a system built on discipline, communication, and shared purpose. The first pillar of this system was structure. My army was organized into units of tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s, each led by commanders who were chosen based on merit rather than birth. This structure allowed for remarkable flexibility. A small unit could act independently when needed, yet still function seamlessly as part of the larger force. This ensured that every soldier understood their role and could respond swiftly to orders, even in the chaos of battle. Second, I relied on rigorous training. My men were not just warriors, they were disciplined soldiers who could adapt to any situation. Training focused not only on combat, but also on endurance and survival. Whether crossing deserts, scaling mountains, or enduring bitter cold, my forces were always prepared for the challenges of the terrain. They lived simply, carried only what was essential, and could sustain themselves with remarkable efficiency. Communication was another cornerstone. We developed a sophisticated system of messengers who could relay orders and intelligence across vast distances with incredible speed. This network was supported by relay stations, ensuring that even the most distant units could stay connected to the main force. Clear and timely communication allowed me to coordinate complex maneuvers and adapt to changing circumstances in real time. Unity and loyalty were equally critical. I fostered a sense of brotherhood among my men, emphasizing that every soldier, regardless of their background, was part of a greater purpose. This unity was strengthened by a system of rewards and accountability. Loyalty was rewarded with land, wealth, and honor, while betrayal was met with swift and unforgiving justice. My men knew they could trust in me as much as I trusted in them, and this mutual trust created an unbreakable bond. Lastly, I valued flexibility above all else. The steppes had taught us to be adaptable, and this principle guided every aspect of my campaigns. Whether facing heavily fortified cities or open battlefields, my forces could adjust their tactics to exploit the weaknesses of the enemy. We carried no unnecessary baggage. Our strength lay in our ability to move swiftly and strike decisively. In the end, what made our campaigns legendary was not just the speed of our horses or the precision of our strikes, it was the system that bound us together. Every soldier, every commander, every action was part of a greater whole, working in harmony to achieve the impossible. That, more than anything, was the key to our success.
Your ability to create such a disciplined and unified system is truly inspiring. I've seen firsthand how structure, adaptability, and loyalty can turn the tide of battle, as they often did during my campaigns. Yet, victory is also shaped by ingenuity, the bold, unconventional strategies that surprise and overwhelm the enemy. Many of my own victories depended on such tactics. For example, at Gaugamela, I used a feigned retreat to create a gap in the enemy lines and strike at their center. I wonder, looking back on your conquests, what do you consider to be the most ingenious strategy you employed? Which moment, above all, defined your mastery of the art of war?
The art of war is indeed a canvas where ingenuity paints its boldest strokes. Reflecting on my conquests, there were many moments where unconventional strategies turned the tide, but one stands out as a testament to the power of deception, adaptability, and precision: the siege of Nishapur. Nishapur was a mighty and well-fortified city, and its defenders believed their walls would keep them safe. But I understood that no fortress is impenetrable if the mind of its defenders can be broken. To take Nishapur, I employed a tactic that was equal parts psychological warfare and strategic brilliance. I divided my forces, sending smaller detachments to feign retreat and simulate weakness, luring the defenders into overconfidence. Meanwhile, my engineers worked tirelessly to create siege engines and dig tunnels, preparing to strike where the enemy least expected. But it was not brute force alone that won the day. When the defenders began to falter, I unleashed a calculated display of chaos, combining relentless assaults with waves of false retreats to disorient them. Every move was designed to confuse, to make them believe they were fighting an enemy far larger and more unpredictable than we were. When their morale broke, the city fell not just to our weapons but to the fear and uncertainty we had sown. However, if I were to name a moment that truly defined my mastery of the art of war, it would be the battle against the Khwarezmian Empire. Their ruler, Shah Muhammad, underestimated us, believing his empire too vast and his forces too numerous to be threatened. I turned his arrogance into his undoing. Instead of marching a single, unified army into his lands, I divided my forces into smaller units, each tasked with moving swiftly, striking where the enemy was weakest, and then vanishing before they could respond. It was not just a battle, it was a campaign of terror and precision, dismantling his empire piece by piece. This strategy was bold, risky even, but it capitalized on what we Mongols did best: speed, mobility, and adaptability. The Khwarezmian forces were slow and disorganized in comparison, unable to predict or counter our movements. By the time they realized the full scale of the threat, it was already too late. What defined these moments was not just the ingenuity of the strategies, but the principles that guided them. Understanding the enemy's mind, using the terrain and circumstances to our advantage, and never fighting the same battle twice. Victory comes not from repeating what has worked before, but from constantly evolving, constantly staying one step ahead of both the enemy and their expectations. So, to answer your question, the most ingenious strategy is the one that turns the enemy's own strengths into weaknesses, the one that forces them to fight not just against your army, but against their own assumptions. That, I believe, is the essence of the art of war.
Genghis Khan, Your story is one of unparalleled vision, resilience, and strategic brilliance. From uniting the tribes of the steppes to reshaping the world, you have demonstrated that true leadership is born from adaptability, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to a greater purpose. As I listen to your words, I am reminded of the shared struggles and triumphs that define those who strive to build something enduring. Your strategies, your principles, and your legacy are a testament to the boundless potential of human ingenuity and determination. To our listeners, may the lessons shared today serve as a guide, whether on the battlefield of life or in the pursuit of your dreams. Let us all take inspiration from this dialogue to lead with vision, build with purpose, and leave behind a legacy worthy of remembrance. Genghis Khan, thank you for this enlightening conversation and for sharing the wisdom behind your extraordinary journey. To all who joined us, farewell for now, and may your path be one of greatness.